If you're seeing this, it's not random. Listen until the end, chosen one.
Chosen one, listen carefully. I carry an urgent message today, and this message is not for everyone. This is not for those who walk casually, doubting God, mocking faith, or chasing the noise of the world. No, this message is only for those who walk the narrow path, those who have been called, marked, separated, and quietly prepared by God Himself. If you are not walking with God, this message will not stay with you. But if you are truly chosen, you will feel something stir inside you right now, because this message has reached you at the exact moment it was meant to. Chosen one, stop worrying. God has already calibrated your path. Nothing in your life is off course. Nothing is late. Nothing is broken. Every delay, every pause, every closed door has been measured with divine precision. And today, God wants your restless mind to finally rest. I need you to stay with me till the very end, because what I'm about to share will lift a heavy weight you've been carrying silently. This message will realign your thoughts, calm your spirit, and remind you who is truly in control. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones so they can receive this divine reassurance. And comment 777 in the comments to declare that you trust God's timing and alignment over your life. Now take a deep breath. Let's begin. Why you've been worrying, the burden of the chosen mind. Chosen one, let me speak to you plainly, the way a wise father would sit you down and look you in the eyes. You've been worrying not because you lack faith, but because your mind carries weight most people never have to carry. You see deeper, you sense more, you notice what others ignore, and that alone can feel heavy. You were never designed to live on the surface of life. Your mind doesn't skim, it dives. While others are distracted by comfort, entertainment, and temporary satisfaction, your thoughts wander into purpose, destiny, meaning, and responsibility. That is not a flaw, that is a mark. But when a deep mind lives in a shallow world, tension is inevitable. You worry because you feel responsible for things you haven't even been shown yet. You worry because your spirit knows there is more ahead, but your eyes cannot see it clearly. And when vision delays, the mind tries to fill the gap. That's when worry creeps in, not because God is absent, but because you are trying to carry tomorrow with today's strength. Chosen ones often mistake awareness for anxiety. You are alert, not afraid. You are vigilant, not faithless. But the enemy loves to twist vigilance into worry. He whispers, if you don't think about it constantly, you'll miss it. If you relax, everything will fall apart. That is a lie. A subtle one, but a lie nonetheless. You worry because you care deeply about your calling, about not wasting time, about doing right by God, about not failing the assignment placed on your life. But hear me clearly now. God never asked you to carry the outcome. He only asked you to walk in obedience. Outcomes are His responsibility, not yours. Another reason you worry is because you've outgrown old versions of yourself, but you haven't fully stepped into the new one yet. That in-between space can feel unstable. You don't fit where you came from, and you haven't fully arrived where you're going. That space is uncomfortable. It makes the mind restless. It makes you question yourself. But that space is not confusion. It is transition. And transitions always feel uncertain to those who don't understand divine process. You are shedding layers. Old thinking, old limitations, old attachments. And shedding always feels like loss before it feels like freedom. So your mind asks questions your spirit already knows the answer to. You also worry because you walk alone more often than not. Few people truly understand you. Few can relate to your thoughts, your convictions, your silence. So when pressure builds, there is no one to fully unload it onto. You carry it inward, quietly. That silence can amplify worry if you're not careful. But let me say something strong now. Your worry is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something great has been entrusted to you. Ordinary minds don't wrestle with destiny. Ordinary souls don't feel the weight of alignment. Ordinary people don't question their path this deeply. Yet here is where I correct you with love and authority. Worry becomes dangerous when it turns into self-doubt, when it convinces you that you must constantly manage what God has already mapped. That is when the burden becomes too heavy, because you were never designed to be the architect. You are the vessel. Chosen one, God sees your mental fatigue. He sees the nights you replay conversations, the moments you wonder if you're behind, the silent fear of missing your moment. But God is not threatened by time, and neither is your calling. Your path does not require your anxiety to function. It requires your trust. Worry feels productive because it gives the illusion of control. It makes you feel like you're doing something, but in truth, it drains clarity. It clouds hearing. It tightens the spirit, and a tight spirit cannot move freely with God. Let me ground you now. If God calibrated your path, then worry is unnecessary. Calibration means adjustment, precision, intention. It means nothing is excessive and nothing is lacking. Even your delays have purpose. Even your questions are allowed. But your peace must be protected. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are not failing. You are becoming. And becoming often feels uncomfortable to the mind before it feels powerful to the soul. So take this truth with you into the next part. You've been worrying because you're chosen. But you don't have to keep worrying to remain chosen. God has already accounted for everything you're afraid of. Now let me show you how deeply and precisely God has calibrated your path. God's calibration. Nothing in your life is random. Chosen one. I want you to slow your thoughts right now. Not tomorrow. Not later. Right now. Because if you truly understand what I'm about to tell you, a large portion of your worry will lose its grip on your mind. God does not improvise. He does not guess. He does not experiment with your life. When I say your path is calibrated, I mean it has been measured, adjusted, refined, and aligned with intention. Calibration is what an expert does when precision matters. And your life requires precision. You see events. God sees alignment. You see delay. God sees preparation. You see confusion. God sees sequencing. Nothing in your life happened randomly. Not the family you were born into. Not the city you live in. Not the heartbreaks you endured. Not the doors that closed without explanation. Every single element was factored into your becoming, even the parts that hurt. Chosen ones struggle here because you want clarity before movement, but God often gives movement before clarity. Why? Because clarity grows as you walk. If God showed you everything at once, your mind would collapse under the weight of it. So he releases truth in portions, strength in measures, and understanding in seasons. Think about this carefully. Calibration requires tension. If something is loose, it cannot be calibrated. If something is rigid, it breaks. God applies just enough pressure to adjust you without destroying you. That's why your life has felt intense but not fatal, challenging but not consuming, heavy but survivable. The delays you hate were not punishment. They were protection. You were not ready for what you were asking for at the time you asked for it. Your character needed strengthening. Your discernment needed sharpening. Your spirit needed grounding. And God loves you too much to hand you blessings that would crush you instead of elevate you. You compare your timeline to others because you're looking horizontally instead of vertically. Their path is not calibrated for your calling. What works for them would damage you. What comes easily to them would distract you. God slows you down because your assignment is heavier. Higher-level missions require deeper foundations. There are things you begged God for that he withheld, not because he ignored you, but because he saw further than you did. He saw how it would change you too quickly. He saw the pride it could awaken. He saw the dependence it could create. So he said, "Not yet." And not yet is still love. Chosen one, God does not rush what he values, and he values you deeply. Even your mistakes were factored into the calibration. God knew where you would misstep. He knew where emotions would cloud judgment. He knew when fear would speak louder than faith, and yet, he still accounted for it. He adjusted the path without removing the purpose. That's grace. That's sovereignty. That's divine intelligence far beyond human planning. You didn't miss your moment. God doesn't operate on fragile windows. He creates moments. He opens doors that no one can shut and closes doors no one can force open. When the time is right, alignment will feel natural. You won't have to strain. You won't have to beg. You won't have to chase. Things will begin to fall into place quietly but firmly. Calibration also means restraint. God restricts you from certain spaces, people, and opportunities because they would pull you off frequency. You call it rejection. God calls it redirection. You call it loss. God calls it pruning. And pruning always precedes growth. There are relationships that ended because they could not go where you were being taken. There were versions of you that had to die so the next version could breathe. That process feels painful because death always does. But what emerges afterward carries authority, clarity, and peace. Let me say this boldly now. If your life feels slow, it's because God is being careful with you. If your progress feels quiet, it's because God is building something stable. Loud beginnings often end in collapse. Quiet foundations last. Stop interpreting discomfort as disorder. God often disturbs what is comfortable to align what is meaningful. And once alignment begins, the noise inside you will start to settle. Calibration also means timing. You are not late. You are not early. You are exactly where you need to be for what is forming inside you. The version of you that will step into the next season is still being refined. And God will not release you until you are ready to carry what is coming without losing yourself. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Your life is not fragile. It is intentional. Your path is not chaotic. It is precise. And your future is not uncertain. It is already known by the one who designed it. So rest your mind here. If God calibrated your path, then worrying only drains you. Trust conserves you. And in the next part, I will explain why God often does his deepest work in silence, even when you feel forgotten. And understand this as well, chosen one. Calibration also includes timing your emotional maturity. God is not only aligning events around you, he is aligning you within yourself. There are reactions you no longer have, arguments you no longer engage in, temptations that no longer control you. That did not happen by accident. That is calibration at work. You may feel like life slowed down because God reduced distractions. He removed noise so you could hear him clearly. He limited access so you could strengthen discernment. He narrowed your circle so you could deepen wisdom. That is not loss. That is focus. When God calibrates a path, he also calibrates desire. Things you once chased no longer excite you. Things you once feared no longer intimidate you. Your appetite has changed. Your tolerance has shifted. Your spirit has matured. And that internal shift is often the clearest sign that alignment is already happening. Do not overlook what is happening quietly inside you while you wait for something loud to happen outside you. God works from the inside out, never the other way around. When the inside is ready, the outside follows naturally. So take peace in this truth. If you feel stretched but stable, challenged but not broken, uncertain but still hopeful, that is not confusion. That is calibration nearing completion. The silent seasons. When God works quietly. Chosen one. This is the part most people misunderstand, and because they misunderstand it, they suffer unnecessarily. Silence. God's silence. That season where prayers seem unanswered, signs feel distant, and progress appears invisible. Let me tell you something with calm authority. Silence does not mean absence. Silence means focus. God often works his deepest, most precise work when he removes the noise. When he quiets the outside, he amplifies the inside. But the human mind, especially the mind of a chosen one, struggles with silence because silence removes reassurance, and without reassurance, the mind tries to fill the gap with assumptions. That is where anxiety begins. You see, noise gives the illusion of movement. Silence demands trust, and trust is not passive. Trust is one of the strongest spiritual disciplines there is. When God goes quiet, He is not testing your patience. He is strengthening your hearing. He wants you to recognize His presence without constant confirmation. The silent season is where God dismantles dependence on external validation. No applause, no recognition, no visible progress. Just you, your thoughts, and your faith. That's uncomfortable. But it's necessary. Because anything built on constant affirmation will collapse under pressure. Think about this. God hid Moses for years before calling him publicly. David was anointed long before he was crowned. Jesus lived quietly before he ministered powerfully. Silence always precedes impact. Always. You feel forgotten because God is protecting you from premature exposure. If He revealed you too early, people would see the gift before the foundation. And gifts without foundation attract attack. God hides what He values until it can stand. In silence, God removes what cannot go with you. Old mindsets, old fears, old attachments, even old versions of faith that were shallow or conditional. Silence strips you down so you can be built correctly. And yes, stripping hurts, because identity gets tangled in familiarity. When God removes familiarity, the soul panics before it understands. You've asked, why am I not seeing results? Because results come after roots. You don't applaud roots. You don't photograph roots. But without them, nothing stands. Silence is where roots grow. Another reason silence feels heavy is because God is teaching you discernment. When everything is loud, it's easy to mistake emotion for instruction. But in silence, you learn the difference between impulse and direction. You learn to sit with a thought before acting on it. You learn restraint, and restraint is power. Chosen one, God is not punishing you by withholding answers. He is maturing you so you can handle answers without being overwhelmed. Some truths require strength to carry. Some blessings require discipline to maintain. Silence prepares you for both. You may feel like nothing is happening, but something is always happening. Character is being refined, patience is being strengthened, faith is being deepened, and clarity is forming beneath the surface. You just can't see it yet. Let me say something firm now. If God truly abandoned you, you would feel empty, not restless. Restlessness means there is movement within you. It means something is forming. Dead things don't wrestle. Growing things do. Silence also exposes what distracts you. When noise is removed, your habits become visible. Your coping mechanisms surface. Your dependencies reveal themselves. God does this not to shame you, but to heal you. He cannot heal what you refuse to see. And here is the part that will calm you if you let it. God does not waste silent seasons. He does not extend them unnecessarily. He ends them precisely when the work is complete. Not when you demand it, not when you feel ready, but when you actually are ready. You are not stuck, you are being steadied, you are not delayed, you are being fortified, and the silence will break, not with chaos, but with clarity. When God speaks after silence, it is decisive. Directions become simple, moves feel natural, peace accompanies action. That is how you know the season has shifted. Until then, rest your spirit. Silence is not the absence of God. It is the presence of His hand working carefully, quietly, intentionally. And in the next part, I will show you why this silence often creates isolation, and why isolation is not rejection, but assignment. There is another truth about silent seasons that most never consider. Silence recalibrates your inner voice. When God removes constant direction, constant signs, and constant reassurance, He is teaching you to recognize His guidance within you, not as noise, not as pressure, but as quiet knowing. Chosen one, this is where spiritual maturity is formed. When you no longer panic in uncertainty, when you no longer rush to fill space with distraction, when you can sit with unanswered questions and still remain anchored. That is not weakness, That is strength. Silence also breaks emotional dependency. It forces you to stop leaning on people who cannot support your calling. It reveals who was a crutch and who was truly aligned. And while that realization can sting, it ultimately frees you, because God never intended for people to replace him. You may notice during this season that your desire to explain yourself fades. You speak less. You observe more. You react slower. That is not withdrawal. That is discernment sharpening. You are learning when silence speaks louder than words. And here is something deeply comforting if you let it settle in your spirit. God often speaks loudest through alignment, not instruction. When doors begin to open naturally, when resistance fades, when peace accompanies movement, that is his voice. Until then, the quiet is shaping you into someone who can move without panic, decide without fear, and wait without anxiety. Silence is not empty. It is full of formation. So do not rush God's quiet work. It is producing clarity you will carry for a lifetime. You were never meant to fit in. The isolation of assignment. Chosen one, let me speak to something you've felt but rarely say out loud. The loneliness, the sense that no matter where you go, you never fully belong. You can be surrounded by people and still feel separate, not above them, not better than them, just different. That is not arrogance. That is assignment. You were never designed to blend in. You were designed to stand apart so you could see clearly. When everyone moves with the crowd, vision gets blurred. God separates the chosen so they can observe, discern, and lead without distortion. Isolation is not rejection. It is positioning. From an early stage, you noticed this pattern. Friendships that didn't last, groups that felt draining, environments that once felt comfortable suddenly felt restrictive. You didn't become difficult. You became aware. Awareness creates distance, and distance creates clarity. People often misunderstand chosen ones because you don't operate on emotional impulse alone. You think before you move. You question before you follow. You feel deeply, but you don't express everything. That confuses people who live externally. They may label you distant, cold, or unpredictable, but in truth, you are discerning. Isolation sharpens discernment. When you're constantly surrounded by voices, it's easy to confuse opinions with truth. God removes you from noise so you can hear him without interference. This is why certain relationships ended without explanation. Not because you were wrong, but because they could not go where you were being taken. There are seasons where God intentionally reduces your social circle. He limits access to your time, energy, and emotions. That feels painful at first, because humans crave connection. But God prioritizes alignment over comfort. The wrong connection at the wrong time can derail years of preparation. You've likely noticed that superficial conversations no longer satisfy you. Small talk drains you. Performative relationships feel hollow. You crave depth, meaning, substance. That craving is not unrealistic. It's a reflection of your spiritual capacity. Shallow environments can't nourish deep souls. Chosen one, isolation does not mean you are unloved. It means your spirit requires space to grow. Seeds do not sprout in crowds. They grow in darkness, in silence, in solitude. And only after roots form does anything visible emerge. You may wonder why others seem surrounded while you stand alone. Understand this. God often gives crowds to those who need validation. He gives solitude to those who need clarity. You are being trained to stand firm even when no one applauds. Because one day, your obedience will require courage without consensus. Isolation also reveals strength you didn't know you had. When no one is there to affirm you, you learn to stand on conviction. When no one agrees with you, you learn to trust what God showed you. That internal confidence is priceless. It cannot be taught. It can only be built in solitude. Let me correct a harmful thought you may carry. Isolation is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is often a sign that something is right. You outgrew a space. and instead of shrinking to fit it, God moved you out of it. And yes, there are moments when isolation hurts, when you want to be understood, when you want companionship, when you want someone to truly see you. God sees that desire, and He is not ignoring it, but He is careful with who He allows close to you. Chosen ones are not protected because they are fragile. They are protected because they are valuable. Not everyone has the heart, maturity, or integrity to walk closely with someone carrying divine assignment. Isolation teaches you boundaries. It teaches you when to engage and when to retreat. It teaches you that access to you is sacred, not casual. And that lesson will protect you long after this season ends. This season will not last forever. God does bring aligned people at the right time. People who recognize your depth without trying to change it. People who don't drain you but strengthen you. But before that, you must learn to stand whole on your own. Chosen one, stop interpreting isolation as abandonment. It is refinement. It is preparation. It is God saying, I trust you enough to walk alone for now. And in the next part, I will show you how to release the need for control, because control is often what keeps worry alive even when God is already moving. There is something else isolation teaches you, chosen one, and it is one of the hardest lessons of all. It teaches you to stop seeking permission to be who God called you to be. When you walk alone, there is no crowd to approve or disapprove. There is only obedience. Many chosen ones struggle not because they lack direction, but because they secretly hope someone will validate the direction God already gave them. Isolation removes that crutch. It forces you to stand on conviction rather than consensus. And that is where true spiritual authority is born. Isolation also purifies motive. When no one is watching, you discover why you really do what you do. Are you serving God for recognition or because you are called? Are you walking in truth because it is popular or because it is right? Solitude answers those questions honestly. You may notice during this season that your tolerance for dishonesty decreases. You sense manipulation faster. You withdraw sooner. That is not becoming judgmental. That is becoming discerning. God sharpens perception in isolation because clarity is essential for leadership. And let me say this gently but firmly. If everyone understands you, you are not walking far enough ahead. Vision always looks strange from behind. Those meant to follow will recognize it in time. Those not meant to walk with you will drift away naturally. Isolation is also where you learn to enjoy your own company, to sit with your thoughts without fear, to find peace without distraction. That internal stability will become your anchor when responsibility increases. So do not rush to escape this season. Do not force connection where God has ordained separation. Solitude is not a curse. It is a classroom, and you are learning lessons that will sustain you long after the crowd arrives. Letting go of control, the moment worry loses power. Chosen one, this is where many strong souls struggle the most. Control. Not because you are arrogant, not because you don't trust God, but because you have learned, often through pain, that if you don't stay alert, things fall apart. So you monitor everything, you analyze every outcome, you replay conversations, you plan for every possibility, and slowly, without realizing it, vigilance turns into control. Let me say this clearly and calmly. Control is not the same as responsibility. Responsibility is obedience. Control is fear wearing the mask of wisdom. You were never called to manage every outcome. You were called to steward your heart, your choices, and your obedience. Everything beyond that belongs to God. When you try to manage what God already governs, worry becomes inevitable. Because you are carrying weight you were never designed to hold. Control feels safe because it creates the illusion of predictability. It makes you feel prepared. But control tightens the spirit. It keeps you mentally tense, emotionally guarded, spiritually restless. And a tense spirit cannot flow freely with God. Chosen one, God does not require you to be tense to be faithful. He requires you to be surrendered. Here is where many misunderstand surrender. They think surrender means passivity, doing nothing, caring less, letting life happen. That is not surrender. That is resignation. Surrender is active trust. It is choosing obedience while releasing attachment to outcome. You still show up. You still prepare. You still move when God says move. But you stop trying to force timing, reactions, and results. You stop rehearsing failure. You stop negotiating fear. Control often shows up when you are afraid of being disappointed again. You tell yourself, if I manage expectations, I won't get hurt. But that also limits joy. You cannot protect yourself from pain without also blocking peace. God does not want you guarded. He wants you grounded. Letting go of control begins when you accept this truth. God sees more than you. He knows more than you. And He cares more deeply about the outcome of your life than you ever could. If that is true, then constant worry is not preparation. It is distrust disguised as diligence. And I say that without judgment, only clarity. Chosen ones often confuse self-reliance with strength, but spiritual strength is knowing when to release. Moses led millions, yet he still rested in God's instruction. David fought battles, yet he still waited on God's timing. Strength without surrender leads to burnout. Strength with surrender leads to peace. You feel mentally exhausted because you've been carrying tomorrow's problems with today's energy. You are trying to resolve scenarios that have not even arrived. And worry feeds on imagined futures. It thrives in what if. Let me ground you here. God only gives grace for today, not for next month, not for next year, just today. When you drag the future into the present, you exceed your grace supply. That is why your mind feels overwhelmed. Letting go of control means learning to stay present without becoming careless. It means trusting God enough to stop rehearsing disasters. It means believing that even if something unexpected happens, God will meet you there with wisdom and provision. Control also blocks intuition. When you overthink, you drown out discernment. God's guidance is often quiet, calm, and clear. But worry is loud, urgent, and repetitive. You must learn the difference between God's prompting and your anxiety's noise. Here is a practical truth. Peace is often the confirmation you are aligned, not excitement, not urgency, peace. If a decision requires you to abandon peace to pursue it, pause. God does not rush you into alignment. He leads you into it. Chosen one, releasing control does not make you irresponsible. It makes you available to hear, available to adjust, available to move when God opens the door rather than when fear pushes you through it. You are allowed to rest your mind. You are allowed to pause without guilt. You are allowed to trust without constantly proving your faith through stress. God is not impressed by your anxiety. He is honored by your trust. And here is the moment worry truly loses power. When you say, God, I will do my part and I release the rest to you. Not once, daily, sometimes hourly. Because surrender is not a one-time decision. It is a posture. Some days control will try to return. Old habits resurface. Old fears speak. When that happens, do not condemn yourself. Simply return to trust. Peace is practiced, not perfected. Chosen one, your life does not require constant monitoring to succeed. It requires alignment. And alignment flows best when the mind is calm and the spirit is open. You are not letting go because you are weak. You are letting go because you are wise enough to know what was never yours to carry. And in the next part, I will show you what begins to happen when the calibrated path activates and why movement suddenly feels lighter when worry releases its grip. There is another layer to releasing control that many chosen ones overlook. Control often comes from a deep sense of responsibility that formed early in your life. You learned to stay alert because you had to. You learned to anticipate because no one else would. That survival skill once protected you, but now it is exhausting you. God is not asking you to forget where you came from. He is asking you to stop living as if you are still there. The strategies that kept you safe in past seasons may now be limiting your peace in this one. Letting go of control does not mean becoming careless. It means becoming present. When you are present, you respond instead of react. You listen instead of assume. You move with clarity instead of urgency. Presence is where peace lives. You do not need to predict every outcome to be prepared. You need to stay connected. God adjusts your path in real time. He does not require you to anticipate everything in advance. So when your mind starts racing, gently bring it back. Not with force, with trust. Remind yourself, I am guided, I am protected, I am aligned. Say it until your body believes it. Control weakens when trust becomes your default, and trust grows strongest when you allow yourself to rest, even while the journey continues. What happens next when the calibrated path activates? Chosen one, this is where anticipation replaces anxiety. Not the restless kind of anticipation that keeps you tense, but a quiet expectancy that settles deep in your spirit. When the calibrated path begins to activate, things don't explode all at once. They align, subtly, naturally, intentionally. The first thing you will notice is internal. Before anything changes on the outside, something stabilizes within you. The constant urgency fades. The need to explain yourself disappears. You stop forcing clarity and start recognizing it when it arrives. Peace becomes familiar. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. When God activates a calibrated path, confusion gives way to simplicity. Decisions that once felt overwhelming begin to feel obvious. You won't have to overanalyze every step. You will know when to move and when to wait. Not because someone told you, but because your spirit recognizes the timing. Another sign is that resistance decreases, not because challenges vanish, but because opposition loses its power to drain you. Things that once triggered fear now feel manageable. You stop interpreting every obstacle as a threat. You understand that resistance is not rejection. It is refinement nearing completion. You may notice doors opening without struggle. Conversations happen naturally. Opportunities align without manipulation. You are no longer chasing what once consumed your thoughts. Instead, what is meant for you begins to recognize you. This is how divine movement works. It attracts rather than exhausts. When the path activates, you also become selective without guilt. You stop engaging in spaces that pull you off frequency. You say no without over-explaining. You protect your energy without apologizing. That is not selfishness. That is stewardship. There will be moments when you look back and realize how much unnecessary worry you carried. Not with regret, but with relief. You'll see how things unfolded in ways you could never have planned, and you'll understand why God didn't rush you, why He didn't answer everything at once, why He kept certain things hidden until the right moment. Another shift happens in how you experience time. You stop feeling behind, you stop racing invisible deadlines, you realize that urgency was never coming from God. Alignment slows you down just enough to move accurately, and accuracy always outruns speed in the long run. Chosen one, when the calibrated path activates, your confidence becomes quiet. You don't need to announce your moves. You don't seek validation. You trust the process because you can feel it working. That inner assurance becomes your anchor. You will still face moments of uncertainty, but they won't destabilize you. You will still have questions, but they won't consume you. Because worry no longer runs the system. Trust does. And here is something important to understand. Activation does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like peace where there used to be panic, clarity where there used to be noise, stability where there used to be chaos. Those shifts matter more than any visible breakthrough. When God activates your path, He does not remove responsibility. He removes unnecessary pressure. He does not eliminate effort. He removes force. You still participate, but you no longer strive. You may feel a renewed sense of purpose, not loud, not rushed, just steady. That is how you know you're aligned. Purpose does not demand your exhaustion. It strengthens you. So if you're sensing a calm you didn't have before, honor it. If you feel less reactive, trust it. If your mind feels quieter, protect it. These are not signs of stagnation. They are signs of movement in the right direction. Chosen one, you are closer than you think. Alignment often arrives quietly, so those who are not paying attention miss it. But you are paying attention now, and that awareness will guide you into what comes next. In the next part, I will show you how to stay grounded once alignment begins, because peace must be maintained just as intentionally as it is received. Another thing you will notice when the calibrated path activates is how differently you respond to pressure. Situations that once would have sent your mind into overdrive now meet a calmer version of you. You pause. You breathe. You listen before reacting. That is not you becoming passive. That is you becoming grounded. Alignment strengthens your emotional regulation. You no longer feel pulled in 10 directions at once. Your thoughts organize themselves naturally. Your priorities become clearer. You stop overcommitting. You stop explaining your boundaries. And most importantly, you stop doubting your instincts. Chosen one, this is a major shift, because self-doubt was never humility. It was interference. When alignment takes hold, confidence emerges quietly. You trust your discernment. You trust the timing. You trust yourself because you trust God. You may also notice that certain struggles simply lose relevance. Things that once felt urgent no longer demand your attention. Not because they resolved, but because you outgrew the version of yourself that was affected by them. Growth doesn't always fix problems. Sometimes it makes them irrelevant. Another sign of activation is patience without frustration. You can wait without resentment. You can pause without fear of missing out. You understand that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. That realization alone releases immense mental pressure. There may be moments when life still feels quiet, and you wonder if anything is really happening. But now, the quiet feels different. It feels intentional instead of empty. You sense movement beneath the surface, like standing on solid ground rather than shifting sand. God also begins to confirm alignment through repetition. You hear the same message from different sources. You feel nudged in the same direction repeatedly, not loudly, gently, consistently. Confirmation becomes subtle because your discernment is sharper. And here is something deeply reassuring. When your path activates, God does not overwhelm you with everything at once. He reveals just enough for the next step, and because worry has loosened its grip, that becomes enough. You stop demanding certainty and start trusting sequence, one step at a time, one decision at a time, one season at a time. That rhythm brings peace. So if you feel steadier than before, even without visible answers, honor that. Stability is often the first evidence that alignment is real. Staying grounded. How chosen ones maintain peace. Chosen one. Alignment is not something you enter once and forget about. Peace is not automatic just because God has calibrated your path. Peace must be maintained, guarded, chosen daily. This is where maturity shows itself, not in how powerfully you move forward, but in how calmly you stay rooted. Staying grounded begins with understanding this simple truth. Your peace is sacred. It is not fragile, but it is valuable. And valuable things require protection. Not from the world alone, but from your own tendencies to overthink, overextend, and overexplain. You don't lose peace all at once. You leak it. Through unnecessary conversations, through emotional overinvestment, through allowing other people's urgency to override your discernment. Staying grounded means you become selective, not cold. Selective. One of the most important practices for a chosen one is learning when to disengage. Not every thought deserves attention. Not every emotion deserves expression. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Discernment is not about knowing what is right. It is about knowing what is unnecessary. Your mind stays grounded when it has rhythm, rest without guilt, action without rush, reflection without rumination. Many chosen ones struggle because they mistake stillness for laziness. But stillness is where clarity is renewed. God often recalibrates you in moments of rest, not movement. You stay grounded when you return to simplicity. Faith does not need constant complication. Trust does not need constant analysis. The more you complicate spiritual matters, the more peace slips away. God's guidance is rarely chaotic. If something brings confusion, pause. God does not compete with anxiety for your attention. Another key to staying grounded is honesty with yourself. When something drains you, admit it. When something no longer aligns, release it. You are not required to maintain connections, habits, or goals that no longer serve your assignment. Growth requires periodic letting go. You also remain grounded by remembering that your worth is not measured by productivity. You are not valuable because of what you do. You are valuable because of who you are in God. When you forget this, you start striving, and striving always disrupts peace. Chosen one, you must also guard what you consume, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. Constant exposure to fear, negativity, comparison, and chaos will erode peace over time. Choose carefully what you allow into your mind. Peace is built quietly, but can be disturbed quickly. Another grounding practice is learning to sit with yourself, without distraction, without noise, without needing to prove anything. When you can be still without discomfort, you become unshakable, because external chaos loses power over someone who is internally settled. Let me say something that may challenge you gently. Not every feeling needs to be fixed. Sometimes it only needs to be observed. Emotions pass when they are not resisted or exaggerated. Staying grounded means you allow feelings to move through you without letting them control you. You also stay grounded by returning often to gratitude, not forced positivity. Grounded gratitude. Awareness of what is steady, even when everything is not. Gratitude anchors the mind in the present, and peace lives in the present, not in imagined futures. Chosen ones often feel responsible for carrying truth, wisdom, and insight. That responsibility can become heavy if you forget to recharge. You are allowed to rest without explanation. You are allowed to step back without apology. Grounded people do not abandon themselves to meet expectations. And remember this: peace does not mean the absence of challenge. It means the presence of stability within challenge. You will still face moments of uncertainty. But when you are grounded, uncertainty does not control you. It informs you. Staying grounded also means returning to trust regularly. Trust that God is still guiding even when you are quiet. Trust that alignment continues even when progress feels subtle. Trust that you do not need to force what God is already unfolding. Chosen one, peace is not something you chase. It is something you maintain by how you think, what you allow, and where you place your trust. When peace is protected, clarity remains. When clarity remains, alignment stays intact. And now, let us bring everything together, because your worry is not just easing, it is ending. Conclusion: your worry ends here. Chosen one, take a moment right now and breathe. Not because everything is suddenly perfect, but because you finally understand something your mind has been fighting for a long time. You were never off track. You were never forgotten. You were never late. God has been calibrating your path with precision, patience, and purpose. The worry you carried was not weakness. It was the result of caring deeply, seeing far, and feeling the weight of assignment. But now you know this truth. You were never meant to carry the whole picture, only the next step. God has always held the rest. Your life is not fragile, it is intentional. Your delays were not denials, they were adjustments. Your isolation was not rejection, it was preparation. And your silence was not absence, it was God working quietly, carefully, lovingly. From this moment forward, you are allowed to rest your mind. You are allowed to trust without constantly proving your faith through stress. You are allowed to move forward without fear chasing you. Peace is not something you earn. It is something you receive when you finally stop resisting trust. When worry tries to return, remember this: if God calibrated your path, then He accounted for every weakness, every delay, every mistake, and every question. Nothing caught Him off guard, and nothing will stop what He has already aligned. Chosen one, you are not becoming someone new. You are returning to who you were always meant to be. Calm, grounded, clear, aligned. Before you go, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need this reassurance. And comment 777 in the comments to declare that you release worry and trust God's perfect calibration over your life. Walk forward now. Your path is already set. Your worry ends here.